Hello and welcome to the tutorial for QDCMS Images module. So for the purposes of this tutorial, I've selected the jbfsale.com website because they have a really nice public-facing image gallery on their website. And so we're going to take a look at how they manage those images and other private image galleries within QDCMS. So here we are within the Media tab, and I've selected Images, and we're within the Images module here, and we have a listing of all our albums. First thing that I'll notice is the order of these albums. Here we've got some web coupons, some other albums that are called shared, some logo, newsletter images, logos, so on and so forth. Then we have shoppers, volunteers, toys. So let's take a look at the site, and we can see that we have shoppers, volunteers, toys, babies, equipment. So the first one that has a public status as far as galleries goes is our shoppers. So each gallery has, or album in this case, has a title, and the title is what shows up on the site, as it does here with shoppers, and we see shoppers has 63 images. We also see that back here in QDCMS. So the status of this album is public, which means it shows up on the site. The caption is just a way to write a brief description that might help you find that particular album. If you have lots of albums, you can use the search feature here to find an album. So one of the things that we can do here within the albums that they've already got set up is we can drag and drop, and it'll change the order of those albums. So if I go back to the JBF sale site and I reload the page, we'll see that the volunteers and the shoppers galleries have changed places. So that's just a simple drag and drop. And to edit a gallery, again, I click the edit icon below the gallery, and it allows me to edit the attributes of that particular gallery. Now I can select the checkbox next to each gallery name, and I can hit delete, and that'll delete those particular galleries. I can click the add album icon here, and I can add a new album. And when I do that, what it'll do, I'll make this one private, is it'll add that album to the bottom of my list, and it'll take me straight into that album. So now I'm inside this album, and I can add images to this album by clicking the add images icon. I can also easily navigate back to the main album screen by clicking albums here or here. So another way to go into an album is to click the magnifying glass underneath that album. But before we do that, let's look at some of these other albums and see what the status of those albums are. You see that this one's shared. Since JBF Sale is a franchise and it has subsites, the way that they use the shared status is they share these image galleries to content on the subsites. So for an example, if I was in the JBF Tulsa site or the JBF Norman site, I would, when I go to insert images into my content, which will be in the web pages module, and we'll talk about that in the blog module as well, when those tutorials, these albums will show up, and I'll be able to insert images from these shared albums. So that's a feature if you have multiple sites that are corporate type sites where they have subsites. You can provide images to your subsites through shared galleries like JBF does. So to go into an album, I just click the magnifying glass, and the interface is very much the same as the images, the albums interface. I can drag and drop to reorder things, and once I'm in an album, I can click this drop down to really quickly jump to another album. Now, for each image, I have the capability of selecting it, which allows me to move it to another album, which will move it out of this album to another album, or I can copy that to another album. And I can select multiple images Or you can even click this button to select all my images and copy them to another album by selecting that album and then hitting copy images in this case. So I can also remove images from an album. Since an image can exist in several albums, I might want to remove certain images from an album because I can also select multiple images and hit delete, which will actually delete those images, not just remove them from the album. Now that's dangerous if you have that image inserted into the contents of your site somewhere and then you go and delete it. It may not be there anymore. So just be aware of that. The search feature is easy to use. Just type what you're looking for. Hit the search button. And if you're within an album, it'll search within that album. And search works the same way if you're in the albums themselves and you search for something. It'll return all the results of the albums that match that search criteria. So let's go back into an album and let's take a look at the attributes of an album. So just like on the album screen, you click the edit icon underneath that image to edit the attributes. This will give us the title of the image, the alt, a link, a caption, and the status of the image. Now you'll notice we have a pending status here, and it also gives you the path to that image as well as the thumbnail of the image. So you can see that once we disapprove an image, it'll have a red box around it indicating that it's disapproved. And that's what this pending link is for up here, is if you have a website where users can submit images, those images will go into the pending images here, and you can approve those images or delete those images. Another thing that QDCMS allows you to do with a particular image, once you're in an album and you see these other icons underneath the image, that's a rotate left and a rotate right. So if for some reason you upload an image or maybe even multiple images that are the wrong orientation, you need to flip them. You can do that right here in this application. And when an image is uploaded, it'll create several different thumbnail sized images for that image, so that it allows you to insert the right sized image into your content area of your site, be it a blog entry or web page. So that's it for images. QDCMS tutorial for web pages. For the purposes of this